Hey everybody, welcome to the Little Rock Touchdown Club. We'll get started here shortly. Miss Debbie Wyman asked that I make a couple of announcements. If you are looking to get a Little Rock Touchdown Club sweatshirt, t-shirt, or long sleeve shirt, they are in the back and they are all half price today. So if you want a Little Rock Touchdown Club apparel of any sort, it's in the back, half price today. Also, if you did not get a sticker to get out of here in the parking deck, you need to do so. They're at the check-in table. We've gone to the stickers now, so if you've not gotten a sticker to validate your parking, make sure you get that right now or right after the meeting's over with so that you can get out of here and not have to pay. So with that being said, we'll get started here in about 5 minutes as Coach Jones is in the house. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. We've got a great program on hand.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Great crowd today, beautiful day outside. Great to be here for, Rex, is this week 11 or week 12? What are we, week 11? Think about this: Sam Pittman, Brett Favre, Ray Lewis, Eric Dickerson, Hunter Yurachek, Jimbo Fisher, Greg McElroy, Dan Mullen, Nathan Brown, DJ Williams, Joe Adams, Jerry Wright, and today Butch Jones. Next week, Colt McCoy. The week after that, Barry Switzer, Ken Hatfield, Freddie Marshall. And then at the end, Jordan Rogers at the end of the year. So what a great year. Have you had fun this year at the Touchdown Club? Let me hear if you have. Well, listen, we are blessed. I always say this: we could be over there in one of those hospitals, one of our fine hospitals, on 6:30, but we are right here. Count your blessings. Let's live in the moment. Be appreciative of the friends you see around us. You know, tomorrow is not promised. That person sitting next to you may not be here tomorrow. So let's remember that they may not, and let's love up on them today and enjoy Coach Jones. I'm so thankful, Coach. What was it, 75 yards with 1 minute to go. To win the game, we had to have a win this weekend. You got it done. So last year, you guys remember, how many were here last year for Coach Jones's meeting? Way too much focus. There was a number 60, that was focused on me. I've apologized to Coach Jones for every time I see him now for that. It was orchestrated by my girlfriend, who I don't deserve. I don't deserve. She's so amazing. But Coach, I promise that today we're not going to focus on 60. But Anita, if you'll send me show the first picture, what we're going to remember today, the number that we want to focus on is 100 wins for Butch Jones. How about that, everybody? And then the next shot, we'll show these a little bit later. Next shot of Coach and his family. That is tremendous. That is outstanding. Coach Jones became the 17th active coach in FBS, that's 134 schools, to reach the 100 win mark. Of course, that's at Central Michigan, Cincinnati, Tennessee, and Arkansas State. But here's what's crazy, Coach. You were just one of 6 active FBS head coaches and 14 all-time in the history of college football, including my old coach, Lou Holtz, did this. This guy to my left is one of only 14 in the history of college football that's led 4 different programs to bowl game appearances. 5-3 for Arkansas State. They look like they're headed that way this year. Let's give him a round of applause for being here today. So Coach always shows up in good shape. He never gains any weight. Roger, he's flat belly, showing, oh, look at Basil. You look like you still haven't got on your diet yet. And I said, all right, Coach, I haven't. But he always is ready for this event. And great to have so many folks from Arkansas State here today and from Jonesboro. We appreciate you making the trek down here. Pigskin, will you come up and lead us in a word of prayer, please?
Coach, I also had a jersey with 100 on it yesterday. It was in honor of the 100th person who had fallen asleep in one of my sermons. So let's pray together. Father, we're thankful for the day. We're thankful for the food, for the friends and fellowship we have. We're thankful for Coach and for the work he does with young people. Continue to bless him and his good family. Father, we're thankful now to be here and to enjoy all of your rich blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
That is Chuck Monan of Pinnacle Church of Christ. If you don't have a church home, try him out. Does a great job. His congregation is so nice. Randy Allison is obviously minister of music and such a good guy. And but yeah, Chuck is a great pastor, and we appreciate him doing this each week. It's time to draw for the pop-up brought to you by Rockstar Passes. Coach, everybody, we do this each week. So we've had Dan Mullen, I know you know, and Jimbo Fisher, I know you know, and so we wonder who's going to win this thing today. We would hope that it's probably an ASU supporter. So let's see if that happens. If I call out your number, let me hear you. 973569. 973569. Oh my! Wait a minute! Oh my gosh! Wait a minute! Is that even legal? We need to check the. Can a staff member win this? You got a raise. Well done. It was Jeff, right? Yeah, well done. Congratulations. Thank you for that. If everybody can mute their phones, you can watch online. You can text everybody. myarkansaspbs.org, lrtouchdown.com, our YouTube page, Facebook page, Twitter. You can also listen on 1037thebuzz.com. Not 1037thebuzz.com, but 1037thebuzz. You can listen to Coach's speech here a little bit later. Do want to thank our fine sponsors. Rex, what a week it was in Little Rock at Pleasant Valley Country Club and Simmons Bank. Let's give a big round of applause to Simmons Bank. Oh my gosh. George Macris, Freddie Black, what an impressive performance. And of course, Stevens was the presenting sponsor. I got a chance we broadcast out there 2 days. What a great, just showing off of our state, our city, our people, but couldn't do it without Simmons Bank. What an unbelievable job. I know that George has got to be exhausted. Freddie's got to be exhausted. But we do have Kent Bridger here from Jonesboro representing Simmons, along with Anina Castaldi. And great to have Nina back for her second time at the head stage. But we couldn't do what we do without having a sponsor like Simmons. Great to see Simmons on the national stage. Did anybody see the trophy? They're like, well done, George. Yeah, yes, his budget's a little bit bigger than mine every year, but that's okay. It was outstanding. So congratulations to them. Well done, Simmons Bank. We couldn't do it what we do here without you. Same thing with Stevens. My gosh, What a job they did with the Jackson T. Stevens Cup. What a job they did sponsoring this event, the Simmons Bank Championship. And they do so much. So thanks to Warren Stevens and all the gang over at Stevens. We appreciate them. Oaklawn Hot Springs, great to have Wayne Smith, Zach Gillum, Chris Ho, and Brad Hall here today. Just to let you know, so you know that I'm on the Oaklawn Sports app. Now, Coach, you probably can't comment on me picking games. But the last 4 weeks, Zach doesn't know this, Wayne, you don't know this, but the last 4 weeks, I am 28-9. That is 76%. That is, can I get a little bit of, hello? If you don't want to win some money, you don't have to bet with me. 76% the last 4 weeks.
We only care did you pick the Red Wolves.
I never pick against the Red Wolves, never. I've learned my lesson there. But great to be involved with Oaklawn. Great to see Wayne Smith's son, Dylan Smith, who's broadcaster for Lakeside, and he's a future broadcaster on the national level. Great to have you here, Dylan. But appreciate Oaklawn and all they do here in our community. They were there at the golf tournament as well this weekend. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. What's funny, Rex, is that, last year, Judy, we started doing 3 trophies. Now, Coach, you graduated from Ferris State Division II. We're the only national small college defensive player of the year. We do trophies. This trophy, right here. We do 3 of these. These are $3,000 trophies. We do 3 of these because of the support from Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, and we do these for Division II, Division III, and NIA. But thank you so much for Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, and Judy for your sponsorship of that. We got to start. I called the trophy maker today. I said, we got to get our 3 trophies ready. So thank you there so much. Crane Automotive, the largest dealer group in Arkansas, 20 dealerships. They're going to sell 25,000 cars in 2024. Make sure and mention you're a Touchdown Club member. They should take good care of you at Crane Automotive. Sissy's Log Cabin. Rex, I got a chance this week to be a part of the Sheriff's Youth Ranch banquet that honored Sissy Jones. What a great story of her founding Sissy's more than 50 years ago. Thank you to Bill and Sherry Jones and their support. Double B's owner Steve Lytle and GM Ed Light, thank you so much. 34 locations across the state. Gas it, grab it, and go. Summerwood Sports, the Hendricks family supports so many things in this state. They were out there at the golf tournament this weekend. They sponsor so many things for so many folks, especially in Saline County. Thank you to David and Doug. Appreciate you. Roller Funeral Homes. We got Roller Farmers Union Funeral Home, which is in Northeast Arkansas, one of 25 Roller Funeral Homes here in Arkansas. Great to have you here wherever you're at. And thanks to Renata Jenkins-Byler. We appreciate her so much. Advantage Service Company, Kevin Brooks, One Call Does It All. Thank you, Kevin, for your support of the Touchdown Club. The Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall and Amanda Copley. Got an unbelievable player of the week. We always have, Coach, amazing stats. We may have a stat today with this player, which, by the way, he's only a sophomore. I can say it, but Coach cannot say this. Coach Jones in Arkansas State has offered this young man a scholarship even as a sophomore. So Coach, how about that? So Coach can't get a picture with him. Coach can't comment on him, but I can. But looking forward to introducing him. RJ will introduce him a little bit later, but thanks to the Democrat Gazette and their sponsorship. The Hatcher Agency, Greg Hatcher, man, he's the bomb. The home of outrageous service. State's top producing employee benefits agency in Arkansas for 30 consecutive years. Great to have Greg. I saw Lane here earlier. Appreciate all you guys do in Twin City Limo with Popeye. Simmons Bank Arena. Do you know this Tuesday celebrates how many years for Simmons Bank Arena being open? 25 years is this Tuesday. So if you want to go out and help celebrate with them from 5 to 7, 25 great years. You guys remember Raker Beams? Remember that? They shut down, Coach, the first night they were going to do it. They had the Lakers in town, Derek Fisher, and they had, because of concern, nobody had heard of Raker Beams before. But we thought the whole place was going to come down. But anyway, it didn't, and Simmons Bank Arena has done an amazing job in our community. I also want to thank Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis and Stephen Reichert. Next week, we have an amazing special guest that Todd's going to bring. And I will tell you right now, you will give him a standing ovation when you hear about this gentleman. So looking forward to that. And Todd, appreciate your involvement with that. War Memorial Stadium, speaking of, I mentioned Lakeside and Dylan being the voice of Lakeside. They're playing Parkview at War Memorial this Thursday night. So thanks to John Latch and Mark Pike and all the crew over at War Memorial. Great guys. Arkansas Urology, Dr. Tim Goodson is here today. He's your provider at Arkansas Urology. Been a member of Arkansas Urology for almost 24 years. He's joined here by his wife, Judith. One thing great, Rex, about Dr. Goodson, he's got a special interest in the treatment of prostate cancer. and serves on the medical advisory board of the Arkansas Prostate Cancer Foundation. He's done a lot of cool things and advancements in terms of bringing new prostate cancer treatments to Central Arkansas. We appreciate Tim being here with his wife, Judith. 103.7 The Buzz. I think I heard today that DJ was teasing about there being a player that would be kicked off the that had been kicked off the Razorbacks today. No news on that? It might have just been fake news. I don't know, but we'll have that. But great to have 103.7 The Buzz with us. Coach was on there a few minutes ago with DJ and Justin. Thanks to my buddy Roger Scott, who's always here at the Touchdown Club. Couldn't do it without him. AY Media, Heather Baker wanted to point out that in this edition, look at this is crazy. So in this edition, there's an article on Coach Jones right there. I didn't realize that you were a sheriff's son. I need to do more prep. I'm going to look over here, and there's Judy Henry right there. How about that? There's Judy Henry. And that's right, exactly right, Grant Garrett. So thank you, Heather, for your great support of the club and all the folks that are involved. So many great people in this state. Could not do it without you. Also, too, Arkansas PBS, all of our fine team in the back. By the way, did you know, Rex, that they're doing a Mr. Rogers Neighborhood Sweater Drive in November? Everybody remembers Mr. Rogers. And so they'll be collecting gently used sweaters and other winter clothing from November 5th through the end of the month, and they will be given to the Salvation Army or other local charity groups that provide clothing to members of the community. So how about that? I remember Fred Rogers and the cardigan sweater. So thank you, Arkansas PBS, for all you do for us and what you do in the community. The DoubleTree Hotel, Lakita, Nita, Angel, Tiffany, all you guys do a great job for us. And, of course, handling our media, JF Media and Marketing to the left. Alicia Flynn does a great job. We've got the best sponsors in America, even yesterday. George Macris had to mention, I got to thank all our sponsors like Basil does at the Touchdown Club. Let's give it up for the best sponsors in America right here if you can. Thank you. Our Touchdown Club team, Dwayne Duncan shooting photos for us for over 10 years, Chris Kane, RJ Hawk, Wes Sutton, our amazing volunteer team, the best in America, led by Debbie Wyman. Let's give all our volunteers a big round of applause. Couldn't do it without them. All right, this time, RJ, come up and tell us about this amazing performance by our Player of the Week a couple weeks ago.
Thank you, David. So our Player of the Week this week is Isaiah Stevens from Sheridan. And as David said, only a sophomore. And what he's doing at the sophomore level is just pretty remarkable. In fact, right now he's got 3 Division I schools, including Arkansas State, on the record trying to get him to come to their school. But let's go back 2 weeks against Little Rock Catholic. At the time, Little Rock Catholic was undefeated going into that game. Sheridan, under the direction of head coach Kevin Kelly, had everybody looked at that game and said, well, it may be an uphill battle for him. Not in that game, because Isaiah Stevens had 212 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. He also caught the ball for 201 yards with 3 touchdowns. He had 6 total touchdowns, over 400 yards of offense. So I was talking to Coach Kelly before the meeting, and he says, well, it's 200 yards almost every game for him. This is kind of a normal thing. So I asked him, I said, well, what happened last week? Well, he had 201 all-purpose yards last week against Marion, which also included a touchdown. So in 2 weeks, Isaiah Stevens has over 600 yards of total offense and 7 touchdowns for the Sheridan Yellow Jackets. Coach Kevin Kelly brought his entire staff down. That's one thing about Coach Kelly and what he's doing with Sheridan. It's a family down there. He brings his coaching staff down here. He gets everybody involved because he wants to support young men like this. So, in fact, his mom Sherry's here, his dad Jason's here. Our All Arkansas Preps Player of the Week is Isaiah Stevens from Sheridan.
Yeah, it's one thing to get 200 yards rushing in a game and a couple touchdowns, but also for a running back to get 200 yards receiving. I mean, that is nuts. So I don't know who was playing defense for the other team. It was Catholic. That was a shootout. Catholic won the game, but what an unbelievable game. Coach, always great to see you here and your coaching staff, and great to see the family. Isaiah, continue success with your career as only a sophomore. All right, here's the deal. We don't come to the Touchdown Club. We've been doing this, Coach, for 20 years. We don't always have Mondays where everybody wins. Everybody in the state wins. We're not a Razorback club. We're a football club in this state. We support every school, and to have, as Rex will say in a minute, to have every Division I school, and Division II also had some great games too, but it's always nice. And to have records of 5-3 for Arkansas, 5-3 for Arkansas State, 6-2 for UCA. We love that one, appreciate it. And you know the guy's going to give us the update. Give it up for Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. It was indeed a good Saturday with all four, as David said, of our Division I teams winning. We will start in Jonesboro this week. Arkansas State 34, Troy 31. As David said, the Red Wolves go to 5-3 overall. Most importantly, 3-1 now in the Sun Belt Conference and very much in the fight for a conference championship. Red Wolves led that game 23-3 at the half, but Coach Jones didn't want folks leaving early, so made it exciting at the end. Troy drives 80 yards after ASU had fumbled into the end zone, drives 80 yards to go up 31-26 with just a minute 45 left in the game. Now talk about resilience. The Red Wolves come back. They go 75 yards to score with 32 seconds left. They add a 2-point conversion and have a 34-31 lead. Not over yet. Troy then drives into Arkansas State territory, but the Red Wolves come up with a big interception to seal it. What a game, and again, let's give Coach Jones applause for his 100th victory as a head coach. Quite an accomplishment. And I'll let him go into more details on the game, but I was sitting there following on my phone, David. I'd gotten back from doing a game in Russellville that afternoon just sweating because, Coach, I wanted you badly coming off a win today here at the Touchdown Club. Arkansas 58, Mississippi State 25 in Stark Vegas as the Hogs move to 5-3 overall, 3-2 in the SEC. How about this? 673 yards of offense. Let that sink in for a little bit. Taylon Green accounted for 393 of those 673 yards, and he accounted for 6 scores. Mississippi State falls to 1-7. They're 0-5 in the SEC. Bulldogs had 5 turnovers in that game, and their defense yielded 359 rushing yards to an Arkansas offense that had only been averaging 114 rushing yards per game in SEC games coming in. Now, let this sink in. David, this was only the 3rd time in school history for Arkansas to have more than 300 yards rushing and more than 300 yards passing in the same game. So quite an offensive performance for the Razorbacks on Saturday. UCA moves to 6-2 overall. They're 3-1 in conference. 24-19 over North Alabama, which falls to 3-6 and 3-2. An interception at the end sealed it for the Bears. UCA's defense was good throughout, forcing 5 turnovers and had 3 key sacks in that game. UAPB wins. They moved to 3-5 overall. More importantly, they're 2-2 in the SWAC now. A 35-21 win over Mississippi Valley State. It was homecoming, and if you've ever been to homecoming at UAPB, let me tell you, that is a big deal. That was a homecoming crowd of 12,437 in Pine Bluff on Saturday. Now, to Division II, Ouachita moves to 8-0, a 38-7 win at 4-4 Arkansas Tech. They played a true freshman at quarterback. Their starting quarterback, his knee's a little bit swollen, so they played a true freshman out of Prosper High School in Texas named Nate Tinbarge. Tinbarge has now started 2 games as a true freshman, and Ouachita has won those 2 games by a score of 78-7. So I think they have their quarterback of the future, although Livingston will be back. He's a senior from Batesville later this season. Now, in Division II, number 1 goes down for a 2nd consecutive week. Last week, of course, Ouachita beat Harding and ended Harding's 25-game winning streak. This past Saturday, big showdown in Michigan, Grand Valley State falls hard to Ferris State on Saturday. I mention that for two reasons. One, Ouachita is now the only undefeated team in what's known as Region 3, which means they might get a bye in the playoffs if they can win out, David. And as David alluded to earlier, the other is that Coach Jones is a Ferris State graduate, so I wanted to mention that. I've done a playoff game in the snow from Big Rapids, Coach. We may be the only two in the room that have been at football games in Big Rapids. Harding bounces back in a big way from that loss to Ouachita. Harding destroys number 22 Southern Arkansas, 49-17. Harding led 35-3 at the half of that game. Braden Jay had 120 yards rushing in the first half. He's out of Cabot. Henderson moves to 6-2. 42-7 win over UAM. Their quarterback, Andrew Edwards, 26 of 33 passing for 232 yards and 4 touchdowns. So some great Division II football being played in the state. Ouachita is 8-0, Harding 7-1, SAU 6-2, Henderson 6-2, Tech is 4-4, and UAM is 3-5. Now, I just checked the poll. Pittsburgh State, the Gorillas, which is near to Northwest Arkansas, moved to number 1. Ferris is number 2, Coach. Ouachita is number 5, and Harding is number 7. How nice is it to have 2 of the top 7 teams in the country from Arkansas? Really good year. In fact, get this. David said we support them all. 10 teams total, David, in Division I and Division II. Only one of those 10 teams at this point late in the season is below 500 in conference play. So it's a really good year for college football in Arkansas. Now, Division III and NAI may be a little different. Hendricks falls to 3-5, 1-4 in conference, following a 27-26 loss to Millsaps. Arkansas Baptist is 1-7, 0-6 after a 42-0 loss to Langston. SEC. Ole Miss, this week's Razorback opponent, 26, Oklahoma 14, as the Rebels go to 6-2 overall, 2-2 in the conference. OU, they're not enjoying their first year in the SEC, are they? They are 4-4 overall. Get this, they are 1-4 now in the SEC. They've already fired their offensive coordinator a week ago. Maybe they're going to look at the defensive coordinator too, because Jackson Dart of Ole Miss threw for 311 yards in the win on Saturday. Arkansas is going to have to find a way to slow Dart. Alabama, 34. Missouri, nothing. That was a ranked Missouri squad. Tide is 6-2 overall, 3-2 in conference. Tigers fall to 6-2, 2-2 in conference. By the way, Missouri lost its quarterback, Brady Cook, to a throwing hand injury late in the first half. Not sure on the update on him. Texas struggles with Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is for real. The Horns win at 27-24 in Nashville as Quinn Ewers threw for 288 yards and 3 touchdowns. Longhorns go to 7-1, 3-1 in the conference, but Vandy, 5-3, 2-2 in the conference, having a great year. By the way, with Texas new in the SEC, that was the first time that Texas and Vanderbilt had played a football game against each other since 1928 was the last time those two schools had played. Texas A&M, man, they just keep getting better and better. 38-23 over LSU. The Aggies are the only undefeated team in SEC play. I don't think any of us saw that coming late in the season. 7-1 overall, 7 straight victories after their season opening loss to Notre Dame, 5-0 in the SEC. LSU falls to 6-2, 3-1. Aggies intercepted Garrett Nussmeier 3 times in the second half. And boy, they're all on board in Aggie land, a crowd of 108,852 in College Station. That's a lot of Aggies in one place. I will not try a joke at all, but that's a lot of Aggies in one building. Auburn beats Kentucky 24-10. Auburn now 3-5, 1-4 in conference. Kentucky falls to 3-5, 1-5 in conference. So this week, Ole Miss at Arkansas. Got to get up early, 11 o'clock kickoff for ESPN. You've got Arkansas State open. That's why Coach can comfortably sit here with us today. You've got Southern Nazarene at Ouachita and Southeastern Oklahoma at Harding, both on Thursday night, Halloween night games. So you ought to take advantage and see one of those two teams. They're both great teams. Both play on Thursday night. And then on Saturday, East Central Oklahoma's at Arkansas Tech, Oklahoma Baptist is at UAM, and Trinity is at Hendrix. So, games this week: Fayetteville, Arkadelphia, Searcy, Russellville, Monticello, and Conway. Get out and see a college football game, everybody.
Yeah, it's really been, I don't know about you guys, I think it's really been a fun college football year this year so far, even with all the craziness of NIL and transfer portal and all that. It's really been some great games. Before we bring up Coach, let me recognize a couple of folks. We got to recognize Addison. Where is Addie? This is RJ's 7-year-old daughter who's here. She's off school, but she's here supporting her dad. Let's give a round of applause for Addie. There you go, Addie. I also want to welcome back Meredith Scott Hale, who is Roger Scott's daughter. She works at Stone and Ward. Millie Ward, a very passionate supporter of Arkansas State sports, and great to have Meredith here. And Millie was going to be here. She couldn't be here. I also want to recognize Tommy Walker. Tommy is a Hall of Honor member at Arkansas State. If I'm not mistaken, in his 4 years, you only missed 4 games in your entire 4 years. You started as a freshman as an offensive lineman. You were blocking for Tim Langford. But what an amazing career. Let's give it up for everybody for Tommy Walker, everybody. There's a guy who's real supporting this community, gives back. I want to mention Bobby Tucker is here. I don't know what to say. He brought his 3 pastors here. So I don't know if they're here praying for him or if they're here praying for us at the Touchdown Club. But, Bobby, great to have you and your pastors here today. Always great to see what you do in the community. And I want to thank all these folks. If you will, just stand up for a second. Hold your applause. I want to recognize there's a ton of people here representing Arkansas State, but I want to make sure everybody sees who's here. First of all, the new president of the Arkansas State University System, Dr. Brendan Kelly. Please stand. His wife, new First Lady of the ASU system, Dr. Tressa Kelly. Let's give them a round of applause. Chancellor of the Arkansas State University, Dr. Todd Shields. Where's Todd? Please stand. Of course, that is the father of Sassy Shields, Miss America. You'll never get away from that. There'll always be that pause. Father of, that's right. Savvy Shields, rather. Yeah, Savvy Shields, yes, thank you. Sassy and savvy, I'm sorry, she's both. Also, one of the great the ADs, we call him now the Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, but Jeff Puritan, Arkansas State. Let's give it up for Jeff, everybody. Does a great job. And hold your applause. Let's recognize and have these folks stand from the Arkansas State System Board of Trustees, Chairman Christy Clark, Steve Eddington, Price Gardner, and Jerry Morgan. Please stand and let's give them a round of applause. Jerry Scott, who's been Director of Communications, Sports Information forever. Jerry, you're the best, one of the best in the business. Jeff Hankins, who's as passionate, in the mornings, Coach, if I'm talking too much Razorback, Jeff Hankins says, okay, let's talk some Arkansas State. Jeff, always great to have you here. The man around town who's Mr. ASU and Mr. Everything, Shane Broadway. Shane does so much in our community. Where's Shane at? Shane's such a good guy. And finally, I know there's a lot of other ASU folks, but we can't be here forever. But the last one I want to mention, Philip Butterfield. So Philip used to play for Lake Hamilton. And Sully, as you know, Steve Sullivan would come up with all these names for athletes. What was the one for? Yeah, I know. I knew that was. What was the one out of Palm Bluff? The kid out of Palm Bluff. It was so good. Sully would. The Great Shabazz. But for Philip Butterfield, bread and butter Butterfield. Philip Butterfield, everybody. Great to have Philip here. One of the great quarterbacks at Arkansas State. All right, without any further ado, but great to have Coach here. Great to have so many folks representing Arkansas State. And I love how Sully, Coach, will go back in time and check out your history in coaching, because I think we need to remember where you came from, not only what you're doing now, but the history of it. Let's take a listen to what Sully has to say about Coach Jones.
Butch Jones worked 20 years as an assistant before landing his first head coaching job at Central Michigan. He knocked it out of the park in 3 seasons with the Chippewas, 2 Mid-American Conference titles. His league record at Central Michigan, 20-3. From there, it was on to Cincinnati, and following a 4-8 first season, Cincinnati won back-to-back Big East titles. His record in his final 2 seasons, 19-6. Then Tennessee came calling.
This is what we do! This is what we do!
In 2015, Jones led the Vols to their first bowl win since 2007. In 5 seasons with the Vols, he had 2 9-win seasons and 3 bowl wins. At Arkansas State, the progress has come at a slower rate in an improving Sun Belt Conference. Last season, A-State went from 3-9 in 2022 to a bowl game in 2023, and this season, they're headed that way again with a 5-3 record through 8 games. Please welcome a former Ferris State Bulldog, A-State head coach Butch Jones.
Thank you. First of all, I'm disappointed because you told me I'd always be the speaker at your birthday, so that was one of those great moments. But I'm going to start off. I was going to wait till the end, but you kind of said it that we're not guaranteed anything, and it's amazing we're on the same page. I read this to our team all the time. Coach Saban talked a little bit about it on College Game Day. But I'll start off by this. It's called the importance of nothing. You get up every day, you're entitled to nothing. Nobody owes you nothing. You can have the talent, but if you don't have the discipline, if you don't execute, if you don't have focus, what do you get? Nothing. If you're complacent, and you don't pay attention to detail, what does it get you? Nothing. Nothing is acceptable but your best. Everything is determined by you and you trying to be your best so you can build upon positive performance. Focus on. And so we have a little thing when our kids don't give great effort in practice or something like that, I'll say, lack of effort gets you, and the team will yell nothing. And so I appreciate the way you started because really it is the power of nothing. And I want to thank the Touchdown Club. I think this is a relationship that started, I think it was 2015 or 2014 when my assistant walked in, and I was at Tennessee at the time, and said, hey, I think you got an invite to speak at the Little Rock Touchdown Club, and I think you need to go there and do that. And I remember, I think we're at the Marriott or the other hotel, pulling in, and I want to thank you because this is family. And never take anything for granted. What y'all have here in Little Rock and the Touchdown Club and what you do for the entire state of Arkansas and college football is remarkable. And I think that, it's hard pressed anywhere in the country to find a turnout like this every single Monday. The support by Arkansas State and everybody from Jonesboro, it's very overwhelming. I'd like to thank you for being here. That means a lot. That touches my heart. We've had a lot of individuals make it from Jonesboro. I think another big part of what we do is our Impact Club. And these guys are truly some of my closest friends. And I thank you for being here today. I see a lot of former players here today showing up. Thank you, Mr. Hatcher. Thank you. Your son helped change and started to change a culture at Arkansas State. And I'm going to say it, if he ever wants to get into coaching, I'd be the first to hire him because I think he'd be a remarkable coach. So thank you for all that you do and for the state of Arkansas as well. And obviously, they've been introduced, but our leadership with Dr. Kelly, Dr. Shields, Jeff, everything that you do, and it's truly a team. And hopefully people that aren't associated with Arkansas State, you leave here and you say, wow, this university, this system is connected with everybody showing up today. I can't thank you enough. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's kind of been an evolution of, this is my 4th year in a row speaking here, and on our way down, I will tell you, Jerry Scott will never get a speeding ticket because he is obviously the slowest driver I've ever been a part of. So we broke the record for the longest trip from Jonesboro to Little Rock. But it allowed me the opportunity. It's kind of quiet in the truck, and it kind of allowed me an opportunity to go down. And, you know, this being our 4th consecutive year of having the great opportunity to speak, you know, we came in here and we were selling a vision. We were selling our principles, our values, what we were going to stand for, how were we going to build it. And I think in the landscape of college football, and you've heard Hunter come and speak to you and everything, it has changed. The dynamics are different. I think there's a challenge of building teams versus building programs. And after that first year, and Jacob still will tell you, we needed to build a program. We didn't need to build a team. And I think in today's world of instant gratification, that's always the hardest thing to do, because it's win at all expense and it's win now. But I knew, being in Jonesboro and what we had to offer, I knew that it couldn't be a quick fix. So spoke with our staff, and everywhere we've been known for building programs and building a culture, building a toughness, building a mindset. I call it style of play. You know, every coach has a reputation. When you hire a coach, you hire a brand. You know, and our brand has always been discipline, details, a connected football team, play really hard and discipline, and you win through execution. And you out-culture your teams that you play your opponents. And we couldn't forget why we were hired, and we went back and we said we're going to build it through the high school ranks. And, you know, in today's transfer portal, and, you know, I always say short-term gain versus long-term success. And everybody is very short-minded, and they always think it's always better somewhere else. And so we made that decision. We had 3 straight top recruiting classes in the Sun Belt, 3 straight top 5 recruiting classes in the group of 5, and really sold the development piece, Jonesboro, our facilities, everything that we were going to do for them, and make sure that when they left our program, they were better because they were a part of Arkansas State. And it was a mindset. I said, you know, a lot of people laughed that we were going to build an SEC program in Jonesboro. That's all we know. And what I mean by that, it's how we grow and we develop our players, from nutrition, from spiritual to academics, to leaving with a meaningful degree, making sure that when their football careers are over with, they're able to be the best at what they do. And I said, we're going to create a program that how can we create value for our players every single day. And we weren't going to compromise. We weren't going to lose the discipline, the details, all that goes into building a program. Just like I'm sure there's a lot of CEOs and a lot of businessmen in this company. And your organization, who you lead, takes on your personality. And I think sometimes the hardest thing to do is look at yourself with a critical eye. But you set the temperament, you set the tone out. The speed of the pack is the speed of the leader. And so we went back and we really redefined who we were. And trust me, there was a lot of growing pains. You know, I get a call from a prominent SEC head coach. He says, Butch, why would you ever take that job? What are you doing to yourself? And I said, because A, my family loves living in Jonesboro. I love being here, and I look at it as a chance to build something special, and also, though, to build coaches, to help in the academics, to help in the community environment, and to kind of use, you know, you're a byproduct of your experiences, to take the 3 places I've been at and kind of help everyone and build something special. And it's always the small things that nobody sees that adds up to the big things that everybody wants. So took that challenge, and I'm blessed every day. You know, my wife and I sat out on our patio about a week ago, and we talked about our love for the community. We talked about how now we've developed close relationships, close friends that we can trust. And, you know, a lot of these individuals have been with us from ground zero, and they've never wavered. And so I thank you for that. So it was kind of a chance to go down memory lane. You know, I've tried to explain, I'll tell you a funny story. David Peacock from Hytral is a really close friend of mine, and he always sends me text messages, and, you know, he sends me this long text last week, and it was, you know, we're going to finish strong. I looked at the records of the teams we have and all that, so I called him and I said, David, one of my obligations as your friend is to teach you how to be a real fan. I said, you don't look at records. And I said, there is a difference between the group of 5 and the group of 4. And the biggest difference is a thing called non-conference scheduling. When you live in the Power 4 world, you buy your schedule. You buy your schedule to start 4-0, 3-1. It really creates energy and excitement with the fan base. Your players start to believe, and you have a lot of momentum. Well, the challenge at the group of 5 level is you don't buy your non-conference schedules. And you look at us, we had to go on the road at the University of Michigan, defending national champion, and we had to go on the road at Iowa State and had all these people, oh, you can get that one, you can get one. And I said, do you know that Iowa State's better than the University of Michigan? And if you look at it, it's kind of played out. They're in the top 10 in the country. So we sit at 5-3 right now, but I really look at it as we're at 5-1. And yeah, you go in those games, and everywhere I've been, Cincinnati, Central Michigan, we beat the Michigan States, we beat the Indianas. You know, we won games like that. But if you really peel back, you know, in mindset, and everything is about your mental disposition. You know, we're sitting at 5-1 right now, and more importantly, 3-1 in the conference. We have a lot of momentum going. We've had 6 consecutive home wins. That's 10th most active in the country right now. We're experiencing our best start since 2017, both non-conference and in conference. And our attendance is almost 20%, which is top 10 in the country too. So, you know, there's a lot of community leaders that have really helped change the dynamics of the way we tailgate, the way we go about our business, you know, trying to make game days in Jonesboro, Northeast Arkansas, very, very exciting. And the other thing is we only play 6 home games. Most SEC teams play 8, sometimes play 9 home games. We only play 6. But what I'm trying to get across in our community is Centennial Bank Stadium is who we are as a community. So if we don't show up, if we don't support, that kind of shows who we are. If we show up and we have great support, that is a great barometer of our community. And it's my job to make sure that we put a product on that field that everybody wants to see, that they're very prideful of what they have. And we've had a lot of individuals within our community that have really kind of changed a mindset with tailgating, change a mindset of showing up and being fan activated in everything that we do. You know, I brought one fan in, and he's a good friend of mine, and I looked up and he wasn't even standing up for the kickoff. And I said, well, if you were in Fayetteville, would you have stood up? And he said, yes. I said, well, why wouldn't you in Jonesboro? There's no difference. And I think it's just the mindset of having a competitive advantage when we play at home. And I think we're reaping the benefits of that. You know, everyone talks about the 2-minute drill and everything. Well, everything is through execution and details. And how do you get your execution? You get it through your habits. And for a lot of players, unfortunately, the only way you get your habits is through practice. And so we put a premium on practice. We have high demands, and it's amazing how that confidence has grown. It's really grown throughout the course of training camp. And then every Thursday we do a 2-minute drill, and our players expect it. And I'm a big believer in body language. Body language is the window to your soul. So a lot of times, standing on the opposite sideline, I study the opposing team and kind of the body language that goes into it, but more importantly, our team. And I thought, you know, in the first half of this past week versus Troy, we probably played our most complete football game, our best half of football, and that's back-to-back coming off the Southern Miss victory in the second half. I thought we played our best second half. And then I have never been through a second quarter or the third quarter like we experienced. That's when you turned the game off and you thought we had the game won. We gave up 21 points. We turned the football over. We had a 3-and-out. We didn't play complimentary football. And so I'm sitting there and I'm reading our body language, and I'm like, that power of the moment. You got to win the moment. You got to stay in the moment. You can't let emotion take over. So we always talk about be where our feet are. So we had to kind of recenter ourselves, refocus ourselves, made sure I went around all the position groups. And then, you know, we have a mindset, Jacob will tell you, that we win the fourth quarter at Arkansas State. And so there's a mindset that goes into winning the fourth quarter. The other thing, if you haven't watched us play, if you watch the quarter change, we turn and we sprint the length of the field. That tells our opponent that we're in better shape than you, because football, you wear your opponent out two ways, psychologically and physically. And that's a way to tell them we're in better condition than you. And it's amazing watching the opposing coaches try to get their teams to sprint and kind of follow our league. But really, quite honestly, we're winning with details. We're winning with our character. We're winning with our connection. So I study connection, human action, human reaction, all that. So we have a thing called connection. And so how do you know, and this is a great lesson when you watch high school teams play or college teams, how do you know if they really like each other? Because in today's portal world, NIL deal, there's more divided locker rooms than there's ever been. But there's one thing that has kind of stood the test of time, and how you can tell if an organization or any athletics team like each other is the power of how they embrace each other. And so are they giving chest bumps, high fives? Do they hug each other? All those things. So we talk about connection all the time. So I actually have a camera that films our sideline. And we study, we call it the juice man. And the players that have juice, energy, how we interact with each other, we chart. So, you know, we had that great win and we had an official visit. And we had this one individual in who's a position coach at a very prominent SEC program. His son is committed to us. And so they were here, and he's walking around the building yesterday, and he sees the connection wall and all that, and he is fascinated by it. And he's like, Butch, this is the missing piece in our program. And he said, you know, I as a position coach, I kind of tell them what I want, but we don't ever chart it. So we review how many touches and pickups each player has in our team meetings on Monday. And we celebrate it. And we show video clips of our connection and what it does. And I've learned over the course of time, when we played Southern Miss, it was also a CBS game, chest bump Saturday. But I've learned, I've had a couple players blow knees out. I've twisted my knees, so now when we chest bump, we don't leave our feet. We've come full circle because the amount of highlights the last two games of our kids chest bumping without leaving their feet. So we have remarkable kids. They hang on every word that we say. But I think in today's landscape, you have to reinvent yourself every single week. Humility comes on Saturday. So you could be great one week and stink the next week. And that's a check in humility. So you have to reinvent yourself to be at your best every single day. And I think the other thing is with sustainability and reinventing yourself, I think you got to find creative. We're teachers. So what I used to do at all the places I would do is I would go meet with the chancellor and I'd say, I want your 3 best professors on campus. And then what I would do is I would go to their office and I would meet with them. And I'd ask them, tell me how you teach. Tell me how you get individuals to retain information. Give me your coaching cues, because there's a difference between a presenter and a teacher. Anybody can present. Anybody can present off a PowerPoint, but can you get them to retain the information? So I was listening to a lot of things, and today's big classroom settings are a thing of the past. They don't retain information, and how they retain information more is peer-to-peer. So I started talking to our players about peer-to-peer teaching. So we have completely changed the dynamics of our meeting structure. So in the world of football, you have to give them one day off. You either have Sunday or Monday off. They have Sunday off. So you come in and you review the video and you grade the film. Okay, and every player gets a grade, but how you grade the film is you have your individual position meetings. So all the D-line will meet, all the DBs will meet the receiver. They meet on their own in their own subcultures. And I started talking to our players, and they don't pay attention. It's just like school. So what we do now is we meet with every player individually, and we review their game video. So they will have a 20-minute video cut up of just them. And it has been remarkable of what has happened. So I'll call the kid in and say, tell me about your meeting. Oh, coach, it was awesome. Why was it great? Because it was all about me. It was all my plays. And what we found is our players speak freely to our coaches. They would rather guess and be wrong than be embarrassed in a group setting if they don't know the answer. So they ask all the hard questions to our coaches. It's build more one-on-one interaction with our coaches. And then we give them another 30 minutes to meet as units. And I think that alone has really changed kind of the dynamics of our team. When you look at it, 65% of our players that have played are in their first or second year in the program. So I think that individual meeting time has really helped them, because we're never going to succumb to our culture. We have a style of play that is expected when you play at Arkansas State, and that's never going to be compromised. So I think all those things, the ability to adapt and adjust in this landscape, all the little things that go into it, in closing, and again, I know Hunter spoke about it when he spoke here, is as a head coach, we're all control freaks. We all want control. And I think when you're in leadership, there's a reason why you're in leadership. And I don't think a lot of coaches will say it, but I think I put my time in where I can say it. It's kind of a hopeless feeling a little bit, because we've lost a lot of our control. And I think the success of coaches have changed with two things: NIL and your non-conference scheduling. And I've talked to a lot of ADs around the country. They've actually changed when they play certain games because of morale, to keep kids invested, to keep fan bases invested. So, when you really look at the landscape of college football, it's going to be who has the NIL, who has the collectives, and who has the non-conference scheduling. And I think if you really look at the top 25, look at the collectives in the NIL, and look at their non-conference scheduling, and you'll be amazed at how those two go hand in hand in today's world of collegiate athletics, particularly in football. So on behalf of Arkansas State and all of the great friends that are here, thank you for being here. I love you guys. You guys are the best, and I know you probably have a couple questions.
I just got one question for Coach. Let's go back, Anita, if you don't mind. And Coach, I know you don't want to make this about you. You've spelled out a lot of great things about the program. Let's show the first photo that I sent you, Anita, that we posted. The significance of 100 wins. I thought it was great, the picture of you and your team. If you have that, we'll put that up there. So I think that's pretty cool to know that your team embraces an accomplishment, because, again, as I mentioned earlier, only 17 of the 134 active coaches have reached 100. That'd be pretty cool to celebrate that with your team.
It was. And like I told the media, 100 is very special, but I was more relieved with win number 5. So 5 was greater than 100. But I've been blessed. There's been a lot of great players, a lot of great coaches that I've coached with. Everybody's had a hand in it. And part of the ride down here, a lot of my former players were texting, and I was letting them know that they were a big part of it. But it's really special to do it with the group of players that we have right now. Their will to win, you invest in victory every week, and you have to earn the right to win. And like I said, humility comes every Saturday, so you can never take it for granted. And there's a lot that goes into it, and our players have been remarkable. And, even some of the former players, I was telling Jeff Sunday morning, the first text I got was from Mac Jones, of all people. And so, it's pretty neat that people share that accomplishment. But the way I look at it, we're just beginning. 100 isn't a stop. Shoot, I want 200. And I plan to be doing this for a long time because I love what I'm doing.
And speaking of 100, the last photo there, Anita, I thought this is a great shot. I don't know if everybody realizes your family, how close your family is to the program. If you could just go down the list here of folks that are in this. This is your family, entire family here.
Yeah, it was a really unique, and it just happened by chance and circumstance, but the pretty neat deal is my basketball coach from high school and my football coach from high school. Everywhere I've been a head coach, they always come to a number of our games, and they just so happen, they showed up on Thursday in Jonesboro. They were at my radio show, and they were present. So my high school football coach, my high school basketball coach was here. I had them in the team meeting on Friday, so all the kids wanted to know, was I really an athlete? So they got a chance to remind them that I could do certain things. But if you look at the photo, this is what makes it special being in Arkansas State is my family. So the first one to the left is Alex. Alex played for me at Tennessee. He actually has a big appointment. If you can keep him in your thoughts and prayers, trying to get him a flight if anybody has a plane to Cincinnati on Wednesday. He has a big heart checkup at the clinic there in Cincinnati. He was born with a bicuspid heart valve, and he was probably the best athlete we had. He was going to be our starting holder at Tennessee, and he has remarkable eye-hand coordination, and our team doctors came to me and said, Butch, if there's a bobbled snap or something, one hit could be catastrophic to him. So we're working every year at this time is kind of a lot of thoughts and prayers for our family, because they have to make sure they're checking the root of his heart and all that. But that's his wife, Camille. They were married in Knoxville last year. He helps coach our tight ends. And again, he played for me. And then when I went to Alabama, he came with me. And the greatest story I have with Alex is he had the worst job in the building at Alabama. He had to coordinate the scout team wide receivers. Well, you know who coaches the secondary, that guy in the straw hat. And we'd be at practice, and I would hear just all this yelling and chaos and some guy getting his ass ripped. And I'd look down there, and it was Coach Saban yelling at Alex, and I would just start laughing. I'm like, that is the greatest thing ever. So he was introduced into coaching at an early age. And then my middle son is to the right. That's Adam. He plays wide receiver. He had a big time catch for us for a touchdown at Southern Miss. Had the double move when we had the ball on the 1 yard line coming out. And he's having a really good year. And that's his girlfriend who lives in Knoxville. She played volleyball at East Tennessee. Obviously my wife Barb. And then the great thing is, I'm a dad going through recruiting, so that's my son, Andrew. He's a little more than 50 yards away from being the all-time leading receiver at Valley View High School in Jonesboro. He has a number of FCS offers. It's amazing because he was in our camp, and he was the third fastest player in our camp. And my recruiting guy at Alabama, at Indiana, and Tennessee called me and said, Butch, what are you waiting for? Why don't you just offer him? If he wasn't your son, you would have already offered him. So I'm making him earn it. So I get a chance with the bye week. It's their senior night, so I get a chance to be a dad Friday night, and I'm going to look forward to that.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Butch Jones, everybody. Great job, Butch. Thank you for being here. All right. If you want to get your picture with Coach, 50-yard line members first. Sponsors after that, or sponsors first, rather, 50-yard line members after that. Next week, we'll have Colt McCoy. Thanks to all our friends from Jonesboro and Arkansas State. Appreciate you guys being here today.